women. They set up bars and they went playing pool and golf for $1,000 a hole, and they were known to make millions and millions when there wasn't no high taxes, and they were not hindered by white America. They were allowed to see the white America has completely closed all the doors on me. I'm not allowed to work in America, out of America. I was stopped right in my prime just when I started making money. So you can't compare me with nobody like Joe Lewis or nobody.
And if you are black, if you are brown, if you are indigenous, and if you are poor, this system is rigged and it is right to the core, and we gonna unbreak it. That's it. And that's all.
That other kind of socialism that revolutionizes the workplace, brings democracy to the workplace for the first time.
So that's one way. And then the other thing is, in my more optimistic days, he's such a perfect endpoint of everything that is toxic and dysfunctional about the United States, about capitalism, about the 80s, that maybe this is the final sort of disgusting burst before we evolve or change it to something better.
Talk about some things about why we need a new party. So I thought that'd be a good way to kind of do this. Why do we need a new party? We need a new party because both parties suck,
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Radical Democracy Show. I am your host, Kamali Rose, and we are here with some live debate. No, it was what was supposed to be the presidential debates tonight has actually turned into two town halls, two opposing town halls, unfortunately, at the moment. So from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Donald Trump will be hosting his town hall on NBC, and from 8 o'clock to 9:30, so 30 minutes longer, Joe Biden is hosting a town hall on ABC. So we're going to take a look at those. I'll try to cut in and out. Again, this is, we're new, these are still, we're figuring this out. This was supposed to be a debate. I was prepping for a debate. It's not what we're getting. So I'm just trying to figure this out on the fly on how to cover this. So we'll pop over it now. Unfortunately, because it's not a debate, it's not being covered. I don't see it running on C-SPAN right now. If anyone, let me know in the chat if any of our, regulars are in here. Mark McKeever, if you're out there, last time you found the C-SPAN chat for me, please let me know if there is a C-SPAN stream of this, because I couldn't find one in my cursory search there, but I'm going to take a look and see, because I don't expect that C-SPAN would boot us if we play this live, but I do worry that NBC might bump our stream here for playing their stream. So we're going to find out. I expect it to be able to run on Twitch. So if we get cut off on YouTube, please head over to Twitch and check us out at twitch.tv/Radical Democracy. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this out. All right, let's cut in and head over to this thing, and we'll just see. We'll see how this goes. I was like on the fence about doing this stream, because I'm just like, I don't know how much of a tolerance I have for BS tonight, and so we're gonna see how much of this we can endure. This is just, you get to hang out with a socialist here, watching this just struggling through this neoliberal hellscape. Okay, let's take a look. I might bump back and forth. Let me know if y'all get sick of watching Joe Biden. We can pop over to the Trump town hall, but I don't want to give him too much coverage, because Donald Trump pulled out of the debates like a sucker, and then now he's hosting this competing event, so I'm not trying to give him any extra. He's already going to get an incredible amount of free press, and goes to show you how what NBC is about. In a sane world, this would not be happening. These wouldn't be competing town halls, because the American people deserve to be able to see both the president and their challenger speak and get the full experience of that. So it's absurd and undemocratic of them to do that. But lo and behold, here we are. So let's take a look. I'm gonna pop over here, and then we'll see what's going on at the Joe Biden town hall first.
Still not wearing masks and so on.
We're getting some more questions on COVID.
Sure.
The next one comes from Kelly Lee. She's from Philadelphia.
Thank you.
Republican. Voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Undecided now.
Hey, Kelly, how are you?
Hi, Mr. Biden. My question is about the coronavirus vaccine, or potential. Senator Harris stated that she absolutely would not take a vaccine from President Trump. And of course, we all know it's not President Trump that would create this vaccine. It would be doctors and scientists that presumably we all trust. So my question for you is, if a vaccine were approved between now and the end of the year, would you take it? And if you were to become president, would you mandate that everyone has to take it?
Two things. Number one, President Trump talks about things that just aren't accurate about everything from vaccines. We're going to have one right away. It's going to happen, and so on. The point is that if the body of scientists say that this is what is ready to be done, and it's been tested, it's gone through the 3 phases, yes, I would take it. I'd encourage people to take it. But President Trump says things like, everything from this crazy stuff he's walking away from now, inject bleach in your arm and that's going to work. I'm not being facetious. I mean, he's actually said these things. And now Regeneron is the answer. That's going to cure everything. There's 500,000 doses. We got a couple, we have more than a few million people, and so
330 million. It looks like he forgot the population of the U.S.
Companies who are developing these vaccines are working. They're making real progress. I meet with 4 leading scientists at least twice a week in the beginning, 4 times a week, giving us the detail on what kind of progress is being made. And right now, they do the right thing. When they run into a serious problem, they halt the test. They don't continue until they figure out what the problem was. They're not there yet. And the most scientists say there's not likely to have a vaccine that would be available until the beginning of next year, into the spring of next year. And in the meantime, what I worry about is the same thing with Regeneron, which is a useful a useful tool. But what's happening is there's no plan to figure out how to distribute it. How many, we have 500,000, vials of it. Well, we don't have all the testing equipment. We don't have all the ability to get it to the people who need it. And what we should be doing now, and allegedly it's happening, but I've not seen it yet, nor the docs that I've talked to seen it, there should be a plan when we have the vaccine, how do we distribute it?
And once we get it, if it's safe, if it's effective, will you mandate its use?
The answer is depending on how clear. There's vaccines, they say, have a very positive impact, and they're going to affect positively 85% of the American public. Or there's others say this vaccine is really the key. This is the golden key. It depends on the state of the nature of the vaccine, when it comes out, and how it's being distributed. That would depend on. But I would think that we should be talking about, depending on the continuation of the spread of the virus, we should be thinking about making it mandatory.
How could you enforce that?
Well, you couldn't. That's the problem. Just like you can't enforce measles. You can't come to school unless you have a measles shot. You can't. But you can't say everyone has to do this. But you would, just like you can't mandate a mask. But you can say, you can go to every governor and get them all in a room, all 50 of them as president, and say, ask people to wear the mask. Everybody knows.
And if they don't, fine.
And they don't, no, not fine. Then I go to every governor, I go to every mayor, I go to every councilman, I go to every local official, say, mandate the mask. Say, this is what you have to do when you're out. Make sure you encourage it being done. Look, George, you and I know, and I think you do too as well, the words of a president matter.
Absolutely.
No matter whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, they matter. And when a president doesn't wear a mask or makes fun of folks like me when I was wearing a mask for a long time, then, people say, well, it mustn't be that important. But when a president says, I think this is very important, for example, I walked in here with this mask, but I have one of the N95 masks underneath it. I left it in my dressing room, the room I was in before I got here. And so I think it matters what we say. And we're now learning that children are getting the virus, not with as serious consequences, but there's been no studies done yet on vaccines for children. So there's a long way to go, but we can make progress in the meantime and save lives. And the last point I'll make, if you listen to the head of the CDC, he stood up and he said, while we're waiting for a vaccine, and he held up a mask. You wear this mask, you'll save more lives between now and the end of the year than if we had a vaccine. It's estimated by every major study done from the University of Washington to Columbia that if, in fact, we wore masks, we could save between now and the end of the year 100,000 lives.
And avoid lockdowns?
And avoid lockdown, yes. You don't have to lock down if you're wearing the mask.
Let's get a question on the economy. Anthony Argyrakis.
Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
From Canonsburg, Pennsylvania. It's a suburb of Pittsburgh, Republican.
I know it.
For President Trump.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. You stated that anyone making less than $400,000 will not see one single penny of their taxes raised.
That's right.
But also state that you are going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. The Trump tax cuts reduces taxes for the majority of workers. I would argue not enough. What is your plan for either extending the tax cuts for the middle class or creating a new plan that further reduces those taxes?
I carry this card with me. When I said the Trump tax cuts, about 1.3 trillion of the $2 trillion in his tax cuts went to the top 1/10 of 1%. That's what I'm talking about eliminating, not all the tax cuts that are out there. And by the way, if you just take a look, we reduced the corporate tax rate from 35%, and Democrats and Republicans who were in office thought it should come down to 28%. He reduced it to 21%. You have 91 out of the Fortune 500 companies not paying a single solitary penny. If you raise the corporate tax just back to 28%, which is a fair tax, you'd raise $1.3 trillion by that one act. If you made sure the people making over 400 grand paid what they did in the Bush administration, 39.6%, you would raise another, it goes up to, let me get you the exact number here, about another $92 billion. So you can raise a lot of money to be able to invest in things that can make your life easier, make you change your standard of living by making sure you have affordable health care, by making sure you're in a situation where you're able to send your kid to school. And if you have a student debt, you can deal with it, making sure that your home, you can pay your mortgage. You got 20 million people right now.
Mr. Vice President, let me press you on that, though.
Sure.
You're going to raise the corporate tax. You're going to raise taxes on the wealthy. Is it wise to do even that when the economy is as weak as it is right now? Another 900,000 people.
That's a great question. Moody's did analysis of my detailed analysis of my tax plan and my economic plan. They said, I will in 4 years, Moody's, Wall Street, said I will create 18.6 million new jobs, good paying jobs, number one. Number two, and I'll increase, the GDP will grow by $1 trillion more than it would under Trump and 7 million more jobs than under Trump. And the reason is when you allow people to get back in the game and have a job, everything moves. Everything moves. Right now, you got the opposite. You had last year, during this pandemic, you had the wealthiest billionaires in the world, in the nation. They made another $700 billion. $700 billion. He talks about a V-shaped recovery. It's a K-shaped recovery. If you're on the top, you're going to do very well. And the other thing, and if you're in the bottom, or you're in the middle or the bottom, your income is coming down. You're not getting a raise. I don't know what you do. You may get a raise. Hope you're a billionaire. But all kidding aside, but it's about growing the economy. And George, the way out, the reason why I'm so optimistic about economic recovery, more than I've ever been, is we have these 4 crises happening all at once, and one helps the other. For example, we're going to invest a great deal of that money into infrastructure. And into a green infrastructure. We're going to put 500,000 charging stations on new highways we're building and old highways we're building. We're going to own the electric market. You know as well as I do from your days, in the old days, where the president spends about $600 billion a year on government contracts. Everything from making sure they have aircraft carriers to automobile fleets for in the United States. If you and it's not violation of any international trade agreement, made in America. If you actually insist that, whatever that product is, made in America, including the material that goes into the product, it's estimated we're going to create somewhere between another 4 and 6 million jobs just by doing that. But what's happening now? Under his trade policy, a lot of this is going overseas. You get a benefit from going overseas if you have much of it being made overseas. So if you send it overseas, you get a 10% tax increase on the product. If you make it in America and you bring it back, you get a 10% growth. If you bring back a company and you're going to open up an old facility, you get a 10% tax credit for all you invested. That actually works, George.
So there's not going to be any delay on the tax increases?
No, well, I got to get the votes. That's why, the one thing that I have this strange notion, we are a democracy. Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
Every president has used executive orders. That's absurd. It's a power that we provide to the president. Part of our. I'm just turning down the volume. Let me know if that turned down the volume for y'all too. Hopefully it did. I think I can control the volume for us here. Let me know in the chat if the volume seems to be lower on them now, because I just want to make sure that I'm able to talk over them. I'll lower it a drop more while they're on commercial. Yeah, we don't need to. I'm going to just mute them for now until they come back from commercial. So, Brian, I'm right with you, Brian. And Connie. So Connie says, I can't bring myself to care about anything he's saying. It's all so much BS. Yes, this is painful for me. Honestly, this is just me suffering through as best I can, because I can't. It's all, I couldn't follow that. I don't know, these things that they're talking about are just like nibbling around the edges type policies right now. You're talking about a pandemic. I want to hear you talk about Medicare for all. Like that should be the number one policy that we're talking about how to, affect this. Let's talk about a federal jobs guarantee when, tens of millions of Americans just got thrown off of their jobs by their employer and then subsequently thrown off of their health care. So I am really just trying to grit my teeth and bear it, but it's all hard to watch. I'm looking forward to hearing them talk about, I will see if the words Medicare for all or Green New Deal even get mentioned tonight. I won't hold my breath for that. Please, if you're watching and you haven't done so already, please immediately hit the like button down below. Hit that like button right now. I need you to, you're here, support independent media in just that one small way. I need you to just hit the like button. It's a small ask, I think. So please, if you're watching right now, I can see at least, 13 people watching right now. Please, everyone, hit that like button. Follow us if you're on Twitch right now. Please support independent media. If you can afford to do so, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/radical democracy. Links are in the description box below. And please support independent Black media by supporting the show for as low as $1 a month. You can join, become a member of the show, help us to continue to be able to bring you content. So please, head over there. Links are in the description box below. And you can also send us a one-time tip on coffee at coffee.com/radical democracy. Also drop us a super chat if you feel so compelled. One thing I want to know with the super chats, I just have to be honest about the super chats. It appears that they take, we thought they took 30%. It appears super chat that YouTube takes 40% of super chats, judging by the initial tips that we've received so far. So that's pretty significant. So if you can, please tip us on coffee. If you can tip us on coffee, or become a member on Patreon. That's really the best way you can help the show to grow, is by becoming a member and helping us earn some recurring revenue. So please do so. Join the community. If you join for $5 a month, you will become you'll get access to our Discord server, where you'll be able to chat with other members of our community, even do things like make suggestions for content stories that you'd like to see covered on the show. So please support us in that way. But again, just a quick way to support that I need you to support right now is to just hit the like button. I see 15 people watching right now, only 8 likes on the stream. So I need you to hit the like button. It helps the channel to be seen by more people. The more people hit the like button, the more that YouTube will show it to other folks, and it allows the channel to grow. So please support us in that very small way. Just hit that like button for us. As far as this goes, I'm not looking for too much. If y'all want, I can flip between the Trump town halls and the Biden town halls when there's like commercial breaks. Let me know in the chat if you'd like me to do that, and I can do that. Brian says the discussion on Ice Cube and the CWA yesterday was really good, by the way. Thank you so much, Kwame. Kwame saved the day on last night's stream. All right, they're back from break here, so I'm going to put up a little volume here.
Many people believe that the true swing demographic in this election will be Black voters under the age of 30. Not because they'll be voting for Trump, but because they won't vote at all.
Good question.
I myself have had this exact same conflict. So my question for you then is, besides you ain't Black, what do you have to say to young Black voters who see voting for you as further participation in a system that continually fails to protect them?
Well, I say, first of all, as my buddy John Lewis said,
it's my Black friend.
Vote. You can make a difference.
He really said my Black friend.
Black women and men vote, you can determine the outcome of this election. Not a joke. You can do that. And the next question is, am I worthy of your vote? Can I earn your vote? And the answer is, there's 2 things I think that I care, and I've demonstrated I care about my whole career. One is, in addition to dealing with a criminal justice system to make it fair and make it more decent, we have to be able to put Black Americans in a position to be able to gain wealth, generate wealth. And so you look at
how does
what
your bankruptcy bill help that?
It entails everything from early education. That's why I'm supporting making sure that we in Title I schools, as you know, schools with the least tax base to be able to support their schools. I increased the funding for them from 15 to $45 billion. That allows every teacher in that school to make up to $60,000. And the problem now is they're leaving the schools. They're not there. We're short about 1.5 million teachers, 1.25 million teachers. Number two, every 3, 4, and 5-year-old will go to school, not daycare, school. And what all the great universities, including the one you've go to or went to, in fact, talks about in the last 8 years, what's happened. What happens when you let them go to school, they make up rapidly whatever shortcoming they had in terms of their education prior to that. They have not heard as many words spoken, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh,
what
God, go play the record player.
The studies showed that 58% will increase by 58% their chance of going all through 12 years of school and going through successfully. We'll also provide for the ability to bring in social workers and school psychologists. We have one school psychologist in America now for every 1,507 kids. It should be 1 to 500, not just in schools that are poor, but in all schools. Because we learned that, for example, drug abuse doesn't cause mental illness.
Is this what he thinks of black
drug
people?
Abuse, the failure to get hold of people and deal with their anxiety.
What is he talking about?
In addition to that,
what is he talking about?
Provide for $70 billion for HBCUs for them to be able to have the wherewithal to do what other universities can do because they don't have the kind of foundational support they need. And so that would allow them, for example, like we did in our administration, the president allowed me to go down and we awarded the
vast majority of black people will never go to college.
Ability to compete for a cybersecurity laboratory. The federal government spends billions of dollars a year on universities because they're the best kept secret or where most of the major inventions come out of. And so that school now will be able to produce young black women and men who are going to go into a field of the future that's burgeoning, cybersecurity. And that's what's going to help a great deal. In addition to that, if you're a young man about to graduate or you graduated from school and you want to own your first home or it's awful hard to get the money, and depending on the background, your economic background is to get a down payment. So we're going to guarantee first-term home buyers a $15,000 down payment for first-term home buyers. In addition to that, what all the studies now show, and I've been arguing this for a long time, is young black entrepreneurs are just as successful as white entrepreneurs or anyone else given a shot. But you can't get the money. Where do you go to get the startup money? So what President Obama and I did, we had a program where we took $1.5 billion and we invested it in all the SBAs around the country, in the state SBAs, small business associations, and that generated.
This dude is pissed. He is not liking this.
Because if you have a guarantee of $200,000 for your new startup enterprise, young entrepreneur, you're going to be able to attract, if it's government money, there's a guarantee you'll be able to attract another $100,000. It generated $30 billion. Well, I'm changing that program, and I'll get this done without much trouble, I believe, in the Congress, from $1.5 billion to $30 billion to $30 billion. That'll take $300 billion off the sideline and grow because And for example, if you, in fact, and I were the same age and we split our differences and we were the same age and we went to the same builder to buy us each the same home. But my home was in a white neighborhood on one side of a highway and yours is in a black neighborhood. Same exact home. Your home will start off being valued 29% less than my home, yet your insurance for that home will be higher. You'll be taxed more for it. We've got to end this. That's what got me involved in politics in the first place, a thing called redlining. We can change so much that we can do so much to change the circumstances to give people a real opportunity.
Cedric, did you hear what you needed?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying, do you hear what you needed to hear?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot more if you're going to hang around afterwards, I'll tell you more.
Okay.
Let's get
No, but I really mean it. It is the key.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
this is the way
I've heard enough.
Like my dad, he lost his job up in Scranton. And it took them 3 years to be able to move down to Delaware, to Claymont, Delaware, a little steel town, and send us home to our grandpop to live with him. We finally got back. We lived in apartments, became 6 and 8 housing much later. It wasn't. It was just normal apartments. But it took them 5 years to be able to buy a home. Well, we bought a 3-bedroom home with 4 kids and a grandpop living with us, but it accumulated wealth.
What's he talking about?
Up wealth. That's how middle-class folks make it. They build up wealth. Then he was able to borrow a little against that to be able
Young
to
black voters can't build up wealth because of the student loan debt that they face.
Wealth. And it's very
because they're lacking jobs.
The vast majority of people of color are behind an 8 ball. And it's the same way what's going on now with all this money that's been voted. What's happened? You go to the bank if you're a black businessman, and the president fired the only inspector general to oversee all this help coming from the Congress. And what happens? You go in and they say, do you have an account here? No. Do you have a credit card with this? No. Have you borrowed from us before? No. We bail these suckers out. They're not liable for any of the money. But they still won't rent it. They still won't lend it to you.
You bailed them out. You bailed them out, buddy. You did that.
Wealth. Want to get another question in here from Angelica Politaros? No, not at all. Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania.
Hi.
Republican who voted for President Trump.
That was so unsatisfying.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Vice President Biden. Nice to meet you. What's your view on the crime bill that you wrote in 1994, which showed prejudice against minorities?
Ooh.
Where do you stand today on that?
Ooh.
Well, first of all, things have changed drastically. That crime bill, when it voted, the Black Caucus voted for it. Every black
Oh, God, the black people supported it too. The black people in power supported it.
The crime bill itself did not have mandatory sentences.
The powerful blacks were okay with it.
It had 3 strikes and you're out.
Yeah, the earlier bill that you did, the Crime Commission bill, the 86 Crime Commission bill. That's the one that you signed off on.
I wrote the
that caused that.
Women Act. That was part of it. The assault weapons ban and other things that were good.
We're talking about disparities to black people.
Was giving states more money for prison systems that they could build, state prison systems. And you have 93.
What about your 100 to 1 rule
in jail now in
the 1986 crime bill?
Federal prison, because they built more prisons.
And the Drug Abuse Act.
I wrote into that bill a thing called drug courts. I don't believe anybody should be going to jail for drug use. They should be.
Then why did you create the 100 to 1 rule that made the penalty for crack cocaine 100 times worse than powder cocaine, while your own son was doing crack?
Criminalize marijuana, wipe out the record, so you can actually say in honesty, you ever been arrested for anything? You can say no, because we're going to pass a law saying there is no background that you have to reveal relative to the use of marijuana. And so there's a lot of things, but in addition to that, we got to change the system. I joined with a group of people in the House to provide for changing the system from punishment to rehabilitation, along with a guy named Marlon Spector.
Are you decriminalizing drugs?
I wrote the Second Chance Act.
But in the meantime,
then do you believe in decriminalizing drugs?
Jailed for minor drug crimes after the
exactly right.
Was it a mistake to support it?
Yes, it was. But here's where the mistake came. The mistake came in terms of what the states did locally.
Oh, it's the states' fault.
It's not. We said it was, and you remember, George, it was all about the same time.
Google 100 to 1 rule, everyone.
What I had done as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, took the 10 circuit.
He wrote that rule.
Took some really brilliant lawyers working for me in Judiciary. We did a study. And we determined what happens if, for the first, second, third offense, for any crime in the criminal justice system, at the federal level, if you're a black man, it's the first time you committed robbery. How long would you go to jail on average? If you're a white man, how long? Black man would go to jail on average 13 years. White man, 2 years. I go down the list of every single crime. So we set up a sentencing commission. We didn't set the time. Every single solitary maximum was reduced in there. But what happened was it became the same time for the same crime. So it said you have to serve between 1 and 3 years. They ended up becoming much lower. Black folks went to jail a lot less than they would have before, but it was a mistake.
Let me ask another follow-up on the crime bill. It also funded 100,000 police back in 1994. You've often said that more cops clearly mean less crime. Do you still believe that?
Yes.
Lord.
In fact, they're involved in community policing, not jump squads. For example, when we had community policing from the mid-'90s on...
When did black people ever have community policing?
Bush got elected. What happened?
Kiss my ass, man. I've lived in
Violent
this country
crime
for
actually went
33
down
years. There's never been no
precipitously.
damn community
Significant rise
policing
violent
in any
crime
black
that
community.
was occurring in the late 80s into the 90s. It went down, and fewer African Americans were arrested because you had the requirement. The cops didn't like it. They didn't like the community policing because you had to have two people in the vehicle. They had to get out of their cars. They had to introduce themselves to who owned the local liquor store, who owned the local grocery store, who was the woman on the corner, and what they would do.
The woman on the corner.
They actually go and give people their phone
This is
numbers.
what he thinks of black
The cop would
neighborhoods.
give the phone number. So if Nellie Smith was on the second floor where
Liquor
drug
stores
deals
and
took
women on
place
the
and
corner.
things happened below her, her apartment, she could call and say, "It's Millie, and there's something going on here," and they'd never reveal it was her because they know if she knew that in fact they'd never report the crime. She'd never report. So it actually started to come down. What happened? They eliminated the funding for community policing. Community policing doesn't mean more people coming in up-armored Humvees and swarming like that. When they did, it turned out that by the time we got to the late 90s, the crime had come down so much, and the mayors and everybody asked the question, where do you want me to spend the money? They say, well, only 1% thought violent
Takes
crime
no
was a problem.
responsibility.
It was as
That's
high
what I
as
hear.
22%.
But right now we have a systemic problem. How do you get the kind of policing, prevent the kind of policing?
You have to change the way in which they put. One of the things I'm going to do, George, is set up a national study group made up of cops, social workers,
A study group?
as well as made up of the black community,
A fucking
the brown
study group?
community, to sit down in the White House and over the next year come up with significant reforms that need to
I'll tell
take
you the
place
reform. It's
within
called defund
communities.
the
You have to
motherfucking
bring
police.
them together.
Defund the police.
One of the
That's
things
the
I've
reform.
observed is,
Take away their
you
goddamn
know,
money so they can
the
stop being
neighborhood I
militarized.
grew up in
Take away their
Claremont,
damn
you
money.
became a cop,
Put the
a
money into
firefighter,
other
or a
systems.
priest. I wouldn't
Education,
qualify
mental
much to do
health,
any one of them.
drug
But here's the
addiction.
deal, all kidding aside,
That's the solution.
most cops
And
don't
take away
like
their
bad
responsibilities.
Correct.
They don't like it.
Oh, most
Correct.
cops
And
don't
so
like
what
bad cops.
happens is
They're
they
all
get
bad fucking
intimidated
cops
into not
because they're all
reporting.
complicit. Then
So one of the things we do is there has to be transparency available. We have to be able to
All cops are
go in
bastards.
at the federal level, be able to go in and
I know, look at
check
these
out
people's
whether or not
look
there's
on the face.
systematic problems within police departments. If in fact a cop needs to be tried, it's not the prosecutor in the community in the district we're there. You got to go outside the community to get another prosecutor to come in and handle the crime. There's a lot of things we've learned, and it takes time, but we can do this. You can ban chokeholds, but beyond that, you have to teach people how to de-escalate circumstances.
Oh, Lord.
De-escalate. So instead
Yep.
of anybody coming
No,
at you,
you
the
need to
first thing
send
you do is shoot
unarmed
and kill.
people.
You shoot them in the leg.
Oh,
There's ways.
Lord, shoot him
You
in the
have to do
leg.
more
Shoot him
background
in the
checks
fucking
terms
leg.
of whether or
That's what
not
we get,
the person
black
coming
people.
in passes certain psychological test. And the last thing I'll say, and
Biden
I'm sorry, because
2020
it's
will
really,
only shoot you in the
I think,
leg.
Really, really important.
Good luck,
You have
black
to be in a
people.
position
Good
where
luck.
You are
We're only
able
getting
to
shot in the leg.
identify the things that have to change. And one of the things that has to change is so many cops get called into circumstances where somebody is mentally off, like what happened not long ago with that guy with the knife. That's why we have to provide within police departments psychologists.
Oh,
and
Lord.
social
Within
workers
police
to
departments.
go out with the cops on those calls.
Oh,
on
Lord.
those 911 calls. To
No
de-escalate the
cops. No
circumstance,
cops.
To deal with talking them down. But we can't. Cops are kind of like school teachers now.
No, they're not.
You know, a school teacher has to know everything from
cops are like school
how to handle hunger
School teachers
in
with
a
guns
household, as well as how to teach you
and
how to read.
tanks.
Well, cops don't have that breadth. And there's a lot
How
of
come
things we
teachers
can
aren't
do.
murdering
We shouldn't
people?
be defunding cops. We should be mandating
Fuck
the
you.
things that we should
Oh,
be
my
doing
God.
within police departments and make sure there's total transparency.
Got to take another quick break.
Don't defund police.
I don't know the answer.
The police budget in New York, I believe state, I pray it's New York State, is like $6 billion. It's larger than the military budget of whole ass country. Okay? The police budget of New York is larger than the military budget of many European countries. Okay? The idea, look at what the funding in Chicago for the police versus their education system. Okay? The problem is not that police don't have enough money. It's that they have way too much money, folks. Okay? They've got way too much. They don't need more money. That's an absurd statement to make. That's absurd. That's like saying, oh no, the problem with the US military isn't that they have, too much money. It's that they don't have enough money. We need to give them more money. money to give the military sensitivity training and body cameras, and then maybe they will murder all those innocent black and brown people overseas. No, we need to defund, divest from the police, divest from our military budget, okay, and reinvest that funding into social services and social programs that can actually get to the root issues. Instead of throwing police at every single problem in this country, we need to throw social services, proper, caring, compassionate social services at these problems. Let me see. So this dude is a clown. He's a clown. All right. Oh boy, please, if you haven't done so already, support this show. All right. Because we're broke and we need your help. All right. We're broke. We're poor. All right. We need your support. All right. Support the show for as low as $1 a month. The links are in the description box below. I need anybody feeling some white guilt right now. All the white folks watching the stream right now, if you're feeling any white guilt, all right, because of the systemic racism in this country that Joe Biden will not solve, if you're feeling some guilt over that, I need you to head over to patreon.com/radicaldemocracy, click the link in the description box below, and head over there and please support independent left black media. We need your support. We don't got the funding, the backing of the ruling class and the corporate donors. We're not going to, so we need you, grassroots support is the way that we grow, is the way that we continue to exist. So please do us that favor. Head over to patreon.com/radicaldemocracy and support for as low as $1 a month. Just $1. I promise you, if you sign up for $1 a month, we have had multiple people now sign up for $1 a month, and over time, you'll see the type of content that we do. You'll see that it's worth it, and I promise you'll want to contribute even more. But just sign up right now for just $1. Just do it right now. I want to see at least 3 people on this stream. I want to see 3 people, 3 new Patreon subscribers. So I'm gonna open up our Patreon. I'm gonna keep an eye out. I'm watching y'all right now. I'm watching you. I'm watching you right now. We got 11 Patreon patrons, only 11 Patreon patrons, but 11 amazing. Let me tell you, 11 amazing Patreon patrons. Please help us get to 15. Can you help us get to 15 tonight? That's just $4 more. We need $1 each from 4 people. So please do us a really, really massive favor here tonight and become a Patreon patron for $1 a month. I just want 4 people to sign up for $1 single a month. You can cancel after 1 month. You can cancel after 1 day if you want, if you get sick of me. But please just sign up for $1 a month right now and help us get to 15 Patreon subscribers tonight on this stream. Because we're building a democratic workplace here. One worker, one vote on all major decisions that take place in this institution. So we're trying to build democratic media. So please support the movement, support the cause. Patreon.com/radicaldemocracy. Head over there now. I want to see 4 people sign up on this stream tonight. I know that's a lot to ask for. But I need to see 4 of you. I'm watching you right now. I need to see 4 of you sign up right now. We'll keep an eye out. We'll shout you out on stream. We will give you a massive shout out and send you nothing but love. So please help us, help independent, small, tiny, independent media like ourselves. We need to grow. The only way we grow is if we're funded properly and we got enough funding to keep the lights on. So right now we got, we take home $68 a month on Patreon right now. We want to get it up to 100, so we need your help to get there. But just starting tonight, we want to try to aim for 4 new Patreon subscribers. I know it's a lot to ask for, but just $1 a month from each of you is all we're asking for. So please head over there and support independent media. We don't have all the corporate backers and the advertising that corporate media has. All right, they're coming back, so I'm going to pop on the volume here and we'll cut back to this.
Our country's first Supreme Court gave its first rulings just 2 blocks from here, from 1791 to 1800, and it's become more polarized since then. Merrick Garland didn't get a hearing for all of 2016, and Amy Coney Barrett's being pushed through at the last minute, even though millions have already voted. So what do you think about ideas from people like Pete Buttigieg and others to put in place safeguards that will help ensure more long-term balance and stability? And what do you say to LGBTQ Americans and others who are very worried right now about erosions of their rights and our democracy as a whole?
Well, let me start the last point, work my way back. I think there's great reason to be concerned. I was on the road most of the time during these hearings, so I didn't hear many of them. I just got the recaps when I'd get in late at night I've been going around the country, Florida, and anyway. And, but my reading online, what the judge said was she didn't answer very many questions at all. And I don't even think she has laid out much of a judicial philosophy in terms of the basis upon which she thinks are there unenumerated rights in the Constitution and the list. So, number one. So I think there's great reason to be concerned for the LGBT community, something I
She couldn't even name the 5 basic
time,
protections
sure
in the First Amendment.
Across the board. Number two, I think that also healthcare overall is very much in jeopardy as a consequence of the president's going to go directly after this election directly to the Supreme Court within a month to try to get Obamacare wiped out after 10 million people have already lost their insurance from their employer and wants to take 20 million people out of the system as well, plus 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. So there's a lot at stake. I don't think it's appropriate. I think the Constitution implies, there's no provision in the Constitution. My problem is I made a mistake of teaching constitutional law for 21 years and the separation of powers. The Constitution implies that the way the people have a right to determine who's going to be on the court is how they vote for their senators and their presidents. We seek the advice and consent of the Senate and the
president's president for all 4 years, isn't he?
No, he is. But once an election begins, by implication, it is inconsistent with the constitutional principles, in my view. You get disagreement among scholars on this, but I believe it's inconsistent when millions of people already voted to put someone on the court. I think it should have been held until this election is over. See what the makeup of the Senate is going to be. If the president wins this election, he should be able to.
How about that question of expanding the court? Here's what you said exactly 1 year ago tonight at a Democratic debate. You said, I would not get into court packing. I would not pack the court. That's not what you're saying now. Is the nomination of Judge Barrett reason enough to rethink your position?
What is the nomination of what I wanted to do, George? If I had answered the question directly, then all the focus would be on what's Biden going to do if he wins, instead of on, is it appropriate what is going on now? And it should stay. This is the thing that the president loves to do, always take our eye off the ball. What's at stake? One of the things Pete has suggested is, and there's a number of constitutional scholars have suggested as well, that there are at least 4 or 5 options that are available to determine whether or not you can change the way in which the court lifetime appointment takes place, consistent, arguably, with the Constitution. I have not been a fan of court packing because I think it just generates what will happen. Whoever wins, it just keeps moving in a way that is inconsistent with what is going to be manageable.
So you're still not a fan?
Well, I'm not a fan. I then say it depends on how this turns out, not how he wins, but how it's handled. But there's a number of things that are going to be coming up, and there's going to be a lot of discussion about other alternatives as well.
What does that mean, how it's handled? How will that determine?
Well, for example, there's actually real live debate on the floor. If people are really going to be able to have a time to go through this, I don't know anybody who's gone on the floor and that's been a controversial justice in terms of fundamentally altering the makeup of the court that's gone through in a day kind of thing. I mean, it depends on how much they rush this. And you think about it, George, here you got a lot of people not being able to pay their mortgage, not being able to put food on the table, not being able to keep their business open, not being able to do anything to deal with what's going on in terms of the economy as a consequence of COVID. And they have no time to deal with that, but they have time to rush this through.
Well, right now, it looks like they're going to have a vote around Halloween. So if they vote on it before the election, you are open to expanding the court?
I'm open to considering what happens from that point on.
You've said so many times during the campaign,
what a non-answer.
It's important to
they won't expand the courts.
It is, but George, if I say, no matter what answer I gave you, if I say it, that's the headline tomorrow. It won't be about what's going on now, the improper way.
The headline will be that you're dodging the question now.
They do have a right to know where they stand. They'll have a right to know where I stand before they vote.
So you'll come out with a clear position before Election Day?
Yes, depending on how they handle this. But look, what you should do is you got to make sure you vote. Vote for a senator who, in fact, reflects your general view on constitutional interpretation. and vote for a president who think is more in line with you. And if you oppose the position that I would not have appointed her, but if you oppose my position, vote for Trump. Vote for a Republican who shares that view. But that's your opportunity to
There's
get
Biden
involved
telling people
in
to vote for other people.
lifetime appointments that have presidents come and go. Justices stay and stay and stay.
We have a question from a Republican, Andrew Lewis. I guess a disaffected Republican. You cast a write-in vote for John Kasich in 2016. You're going to vote against President Trump this year.
And John's writing in for me, by the way.
I know that. Mr. Vice President.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Vice President, my father, Drew Lewis, served as Secretary of Transportation under President Ronald Reagan in his first term.
Oh, yeah. I'll be darned.
And some of his closest allies and friends were Democrats, including House Speaker Tip O'Neill and Senator Ted Kennedy. Sadly, today we have highly partisan and dysfunctional governance, and I believe President Trump is primarily responsible for creating this toxic environment. As president, how will you avoid the temptation to exact revenge and instead take the high road and attempt to restore bipartisanship, civility, and honor to our democracy?
It's written by a fellow who won the Pulitzer Prize for a book he wrote about the presidency. He said, you know, I doubt whether Biden is really Irish. He doesn't hold a grudge. In politics, grudges don't work. They make no sense. I really mean it. I have never, and the second point I'd make is, everybody talks about, yeah, Joe, when you were a senator and a chairman of foreign relations or chairman of judiciary, you got a lot of things done. You're able to cross the aisle, but the days are changed. When you're vice president, you got a lot done, but it can't happen anymore. It can't. We got to change the nature of the way we deal with one another. And it starts off by the way your father was and Tip was and others. You don't question another man or woman's motive. You can question their judgment, but not their motive. We badly need an infrastructure bill. Well, what happens? I stand up and I say, you know, we need an infrastructure bill, Senator, but I tell you what, you're in the pocket of the cement industry. But let's see what we can do. You can't get anywhere. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. I learned that lesson a long time ago. I've never, even when it's obvious on its face what the motive is, stick to the subject and listen to the other guy. Listen. What I will be doing.
Yeah, you see the Republicans listening to the Democrats.
Not a joke. And you can ask if they tell you your dad's old friends on the Republican side. I'm going to pick up the phone and call them and say, let's get together. We got to figure out how we're going to move forward here. Because there's so many things we really do agree on. And with Trump out of the way, the vindictiveness of the president going after Republicans who don't do exactly what he says gets taken away. There's going to be, I promise you, between 4 and 8 Republican senators are going to be willing to move on things where there's bipartisan consensus. Last example I'll give you. You know, after after Trump had been elected, named the next president, wasn't sworn in yet, I've been working on a thing called a bill relating to cancer cures, okay? And it was called the Cancer Moonshot. And I worked with a number of Democrats and Republicans, and we had a bill that was about $9 billion that made significant increases in research and development on cancer alternatives, NIH, and particularly specific cancer initiatives. And we only had, at the time, I think it was 111 or 114, whatever it was, votes in the House. I don't hold the exact number. And we had fewer than 40 in the Senate. But after he was elected, I got those people together as vice president, and we sat down and we worked it out. And we ended up getting to pass 396 votes in the House and 94 votes in the Senate. And at the end of the day, because it had to do with the Biden cancer moonshot I've been working on, Mitch McConnell stood up, and I was presiding officer, and moved to name the bill after my deceased son, Bo, who had just died. So there are ways to bring this together.
But how about the question of political accountability? And is there some tension between that and bringing people together? You know, Robert Mueller laid out a lot of evidence of possible obstruction of justice by President Trump. What would a Biden Justice Department do with that evidence?
What the Biden Justice Department will do is let the Department of Justice be the Department of Justice. Let them make the judgments of who should be prosecuted. They are not my lawyers. They're not my personal lawyers.
So you're not going to rule it in or rule it out?
I'm not going to rule in or out. I'm going to hire really first-rate prosecutors and people who understand the law, like Democrat and Republican administrations have had, and let them make the judgments. But turning this into a vehicle for as if it's your own law firm, you don't own that Justice Department. You pick the best people you can, and you hope that what they're going to do is they're going to enforce the law as they see it. But can you remember any Republican president going out there, or former Democratic president, go find that guy and prosecute him? Ever hear that? Or, by the way, I'm being sued because a woman's accusing me of rape. Represent me. Represent me. Personally,
Tara
represent
Reid.
me in the state of New York on my not allowing my tax returns. What's that all about? What is that about?
Got to take another break. We'll be right back.
The executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his
All right, so they're on break, so just cut away while they're on break. Please, I see at least 5 people watching right now that haven't hit that like button, haven't subscribed to the channel, so I need you to all do so right now. Please hit that like button. It's down below, down there somewhere. So hit the like button. Follow us on Twitch. Shout out to the Twitch community. We need to grow our Twitch community. So please, if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/radical democracy. We need to grow our Twitch base so that we can join the Twitch partner programs. And that allows us, I think, to just take donations directly from Twitch. So please do so if you haven't done that already. If you can, you've already heard my spiel. Please, if you can afford to do so, and only if you can afford to do so, I need you to head over to patreon.com/radical democracy and sign up today, right now, for as low as just $1 a month. And, cancel anytime, $1 a month. Please, we need the support. Independent media. We're not funded by, massive corporations, advertising. We just don't have that. So we need your support. You, I'm talking to you. So please, really appreciate that. And we will shout you out on the show here. If we see any new Patreon subscribers, we would love to shout you out. So please do so while we're live here, and we will give you a big shout out and thank you. Show our deep gratitude for doing so. And shout out to everyone in our Patreon community already. I mean, I love our Patreon community. Y'all already know. I tell you all the time. Oh, and big shout out to Brian Dew, actually. Big shout out to Brian Dew, who has been just crushing it recently and helping us out in myriad ways, but also dropped a tip on coffee. Dropped us a $5 tip on coffee. So please, join our awesome comrade Brian in supporting the show in that capacity at coffee.com/radical democracy, ko-fi.com/radical democracy. Links are in the description box below. So just open up the description box. Super simple. Just open up the description box right now. I don't know why are you not doing this right now? Open up the description box, click one of those links, Patreon or coffee. You pick which one. As low as $1, just drop us a buck. We appreciate that. We need it. We appreciate it. Pay for this labor here and the pain and suffering of having to watch this, debacle here. So, and also just thank you to What Up America, aka Ian Olson, for their work on the intro song to the show. You would have heard it if you just rewind back to the beginning of this broadcast here, beginning of the show. You'll hear the song that What Up America there in the chat. You'll see What Up America did this amazing song for the show, and so deeply appreciate that. Thank you so much. What up? Thank you so much, Ian. Really appreciate that. Great work. It's amazing. I mean, everyone that has heard it has absolutely loved it, and it's awesome. You knocked it out of the park with that amazing work. Just thank you. So also a shout out to our Hawaiian comrade X for their work on the logo as well, and Tammy, super producer, for all that she does, and including helping out with some feedback on the logo and all the thumbnails and stuff. That's Tammy putting that together. So please support the show in whatever way you can. Easiest way that I need everyone watching right now to support is just hit the like button. Super simple. I'm gonna check right now how many of you have not hit this like button. Why have at least three of you who have not hit that like button? I see you. 4 of you now have not hit that like button. I see you. Hit the like button. I really just help this stream grow, help more people see it. Deeply appreciate that. So yeah, Biden was out there talking about bipartisanship and hammering on bipartisanship, and that's just such a gross, like, I'm like, what are you? Do you see the Republicans ever talking about bipartisanship? Does anyone ever hear the Republicans talking about that? Mitch McConnell, you're talking about working with Mitch McConnell. Look what Mitch McConnell has done to the judiciary. So let's pop back here and see.
Time around. Correct?
Correct. Greetings, former Vice President Biden.
Hello.
Thank you, Mr. Stiles. In a 2012 report of the University of Pittsburgh's Institute of Politics, fracking was discussed and its possible implications for the waterways from the Commonwealth to the Gulf. Fracking has made the population sick and killed wildlife in Southwest Pennsylvania. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and small business development centers have already begun to transition people away from fossil fuels. What industries that are not harmful to human health and the environment are you planning for Southwest Pennsylvania and the nation?
Well, first of all, I make it clear I do not propose banning fracking. I think you have to make sure that fracking is in fact not emitting methane or polluting the well or dealing with what can be.
I don't even think she asked that, and he felt the need to say that.
So it has to be managed very, very well.
Let me just be clear.
Number two, what we have to do
is
plan
to destroy the environment
in renewable energy. The single fastest growing energy source in the world right now, because I'm going to say something that's going to sound self-serving, but I managed the Recovery Act, and I was able to invest billions of dollars into bringing down the cost per BTU of wind and solar. So now it's cheaper than coal, it's cheaper than oil right now. And it has great promise.
Totally agree, Brian.
And it's also the fastest growing employer in the energy industry. And so there are a number of things that I would do immediately. Number one, there are well over 100,000 wells that are left uncapped in the region. We could hire 128,000 of these people who are working in the industry to cap these wells and get a good salary doing it now. Number one. Number two, we should be moving
toward
some
very limited temporary work
that are going to be able to deal with carbon capture. So ultimately, as a transition, we moved from to a net zero emission of carbon.
He won't say Green New Deal.
We're still going to be able to use, if we find the right technology, some gas to be able to, if we can carbon capture. And I think we're going to be able to move in a direction where by the year 2035, we'll be able to have net zero emissions of carbon from the creation of energy creation.
He's like,
so we can
zero
move
from
it by dealing with those. And every time we talk about global warming or the environment, the president thinks it's it's a joke, and I think it's jobs. Because what we're going to have happen is, you'll be able to see now, as I started to say before, I, as president, is going to invest that $600 billion we spend in government contracts only on those things that, in fact, also are not only made in America, but building an infrastructure that's clean and new. And what we have to do is focus on the transmission of energy across the country from areas relating to solar and wind. The reason is that that has not been mastered yet. I met a lot of people in Silicon Valley. The battery technology is increasing significantly, so you're going to be able to have, for example, solar on your home and a battery the size this by this, as I'm showing you here, in your basement. So when the sun doesn't shine for 5 days, you still have enough energy. So we're making significant progress. The other thing we're going to do is provide an awful lot of work. It's estimated to put close to 1 million people to work by weatherizing 4 million buildings and 2 million homes, because we'll save tons and tons of energy, or like billions of barrels of energy over time, and at the same time provide significant employment and a good union wages, prevailing wages.
Let me stick on fracking for a second. You said you don't want to ban fracking. As you know, it's an important issue here in Pennsylvania. Not everyone buys your denial. A member of the Boilermakers Local 154, Sean Stefani, was quoted in the New York Times today saying, "You can't have it both ways." He says, "You can't meet your goal to end fossil fuels without ending fracking." What do you say to people like Sean who doubt your denial because they think you want to keep that promise?
Tell them the Boilermakers overwhelmingly endorsed me, okay? So the Boilermakers union has endorsed me because I sat down with them in great detail with the leadership exactly what I would do. Number one. Number two, what I would do is I would stop giving tax breaks and subsidizing oil. We don't need to subsidize oil any longer. Number one, we should stop that and save billions of dollars over time. What I would also do with regard to, the difference between me and the new Green Deal, they say automatically by 2030, we're going to be carbon free. Not possible.
So are you for it or against it? You say you're not for it, but in your website it says you call it a crucial framework. The Green Deal.
My deal is a crucial framework, but not the new Green Deal. The new Green Deal calls for elimination of all non-renewable energy by 2030. You can't get there. You're going to need to be able to transition, George, to be able to transition to get to the place where we invest in new technologies that allow us to do things that get us to a place where we get to net zero emission, including in agriculture. I've laid out a detailed plan.
Saying nothing.
We should be taking the plan where we allow significant more land to be put in conservation, plant deep-rooted plants which absorb carbon from the air, and in fact, pay farmers to do it. We can do things like pelletize all the chicken manure and all the horse manure.
Pelletize the chicken manure?
And they can take out the methane and use it as fertilizer and make a lot of money doing it. For example, right now,
these are his ideas.
And people, when I say that, they wonder what I'm talking about. The biggest carbon sink in the world
Pelleted
is
shit.
Amazon.
That's the big idea.
More carbon absorbed from the air, diminishing global warming in the Amazon than all the carbon emitted on a yearly basis from the United States of America, from all vehicles and all means. So we have to use our imaginations. We have to move in the direction as well, providing for electric vehicles. Electric vehicles will save billions of gallons of oil, create estimated, not me, Wall Street, 1 million automobile jobs. But
free public transportation. Free public transportation. That's what we need.
Take another quick break. We'll be right back.
High-speed rails, free public transportation. That's what we need. All right.
ABC News.
All right. Just gonna pop the volume down. We'll keep an eye out. As soon as it comes back, we'll pop back over to it. So yeah, this was yeah, I saw, who was it that said, I think it was, Connie, that mentioned the disconnect between the questions and the answers, or Brian. Yeah, Brian said there's a big disconnect between the questions and the responses. I feel the same. It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's two different conversations happening at every point. And I just love if you just look at the faces of the people that are asking the questions, like that's where all of the joy and entertainment of the night for me is coming from, is like, these people are, Connie V says she looks very unimpressed with this answer. Yeah, like the questioners have not looked pleased whatsoever. Kwame Racefist Media says it feels like he has responses ready and are matching them to the question that sound kind of similar. Absolutely. Feel free to, if you want to jump on here, Kwame too, we can bring Kwame on as a guest here. Let me know if you're trying to jump on. We can definitely bring you in here. But yeah, absolutely. Like it's a complete, it's just like, there's just a total disconnect between the questions that are being asked and the answers. And that fracking answer was just horrendous. Like he just comes out the gate and is like, I just want to make clear that I will not ban fracking. Like, just hear that, like that, the Sunrise Movement, I think, you know, did they endorse Joe Biden? That's painful. Whoa, we just jumped up to, hey, what's up, everyone? I don't know why our stream numbers just shot through the roof there. Brian says, I heard an argument recently that the U.S. can basically ignore Madison v. Marbury and have courts go back to settling disagreements between people rather than messing with laws. I wish that's the world that I want to live in, is, you know, one where we have, you know, the courts are, I would like to see power stripped from the courts. I'm not in favor of packing the courts because honestly, I don't trust Joe Biden to pack the courts. He'll pack the courts with a bunch of corporatists, you know, liberal corporatists. We already have a bunch of conservative corporatists and a few liberal corporatists, and then he'll just pack it with a bunch of liberal corporatists, and it will be pro-corporate, anti-labor laws being passed until, you know, until eternity. I would have liked to see, you know, on that question, you know, he mentioned, oh, you know, presidents come and go, but justices stay. I would have liked to see, you know, what about Ro Khanna's proposal of an 18-year term limit for justice, for Supreme Court justices, one rotating out every 2 years. So no more, you know, question and chance, no more leaving it up to chance and question when these Supreme Court justices and like their lives hanging on by a thread for these like elderly Supreme Court justices. Like, there shouldn't be lifetime appointments to the courts. That's absurd. There's, you know, there should be term limits on Supreme Court justices. And I think 18-year term limits is a very fair, you know, that's enough time. Let the justices, it'll cycle people in and out. I just think it will make for a better court system. And then also we need to start to work to check out Samuel Moyn, law professor Samuel Moyn, and some of his work. He talks about stripping power from the courts through different, you know, different techniques that you can use, like writing into provisions in the legislation that you pass that through Congress that it cannot be changed through the Supreme Court. They will challenge it initially, but once you'll have to beat those challenges. Of course, if you try to pack the Supreme Court and try to expand the Supreme Court beyond 9 justices, the courts are going to challenge that as well. Their power is threatened. They're going to challenge their power. Now, of course, our federal judiciary, like the lower courts, they have like 27 justices on the lower courts. Why do we have 3 times fewer justices on the Supreme Court who, you know, arguably will have to deal with more cases than your average federal court? So, all right, let's pop back over to the
who voted for Trump in 2016.
Somebody who voted for Trump in 2016.
Good to be back home. I'm from Pennsylvania.
Yes, I know. Scranton, right?
Yep.
So peace is breaking out all over the world. Our troops are coming home.
Peace is breaking. This
Serbia
moron
is talking to Kosovo, and the Arabs and Israelis are talking peace, which I believe is a modern day miracle. What
world is this dude living
President
in?
Trump's foreign
He's
policy
delirious.
deserves some credit.
He's delirious.
A little, but not a whole lot. We find ourselves in a position where we're more isolated in the world than we've ever been. Our allies are our goat alone. America first has made America alone. You have Iran closer to having enough nuclear material to build a bomb. North Korea has more bombs and missiles available to it.
I'm
We
not worried
find
about North
ourselves,
Korea.
or our NATO allies are publicly saying they can't count on us. We're in a situation as well where in the Far East we find ourselves in the Western Pacific, where we're isolated as well. You have Japan and South Korea at odds with one another. China is making moves. So I would say we find ourselves less secure than we've been. I do compliment the president on the deal with Israel recently, but if you take a look, we're not very well trusted around the world. When 17 major nations in the world were asked who they trust more, who's the better leader, and the president came in behind both the international survey, both behind Putin as well as Xi. And look what Putin's doing. You know, you have Americans, bounties on American military's heads in Afghanistan. They have more people there now, by the way, than when we left in Afghanistan. And we find ourselves in a situation where he spoke to Putin 6 times, hadn't said a word to him. And NATO is on the risk of beginning to crack because they doubt our concern whether we're there. You see what's happening in everything from Belarus to Poland to Hungary, and the rise of totalitarian regimes in the world, and as well as this president embraces all the thugs in the world. I mean, he's best friends with the leader of North Korea, sending love letters.
That's him pushing Trump from the right on North Korea.
And he is just,
pushing Trump from the right on Putin.
The art of the steal from the art of the deal by Xi in China. So I would
pushing Trump from the right on China.
No,
Great.
There is no plan, no coherent plan for foreign policy. You know, we've always ruled. We've been most effective as a world leader, in my humble opinion, not just by the exercise of our power, we're the most powerful nation in the world, but the power of our example. That's what's led the rest of the world to follow us on almost everything. He's pulled out of almost every international organization. He gets laughed at when he goes to the, literally, not figuratively, when he goes to the United Nations. I mean, it's not about the president per se, it's about the nation and the lack of respect that's shown to us.
I want to get one more question in this segment, and it comes from Mika Hack. She's from State College, Pennsylvania. This is your first presidential election that you're voting.
Yes.
Hi, Mika. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm the proud mom of 2 girls, 8 and 10. My youngest daughter is transgender. The Trump administration has attacked the rights of transgender people, banning them from military service, weakening non-discrimination protections, and even removing the word transgender from some government websites. How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda and ensure that the lives and rights of LGBTQ people are protected under U.S. law?
I will flat out just change the law. Eliminate those executive orders, number one. You may recall, I'm the guy who said, I was raised by a man who, I remember I was being dropped off. My dad was a high school educated, well-read man who was a really decent guy, and I was being dropped off to get an application in the center of our city, Wilmington, Delaware, the corporate capital of the world at the time. And these 2 men, I'm getting out to get an application to be a lifeguard in the African-American community because there was a big swimming pool complex. And these 2 men, well-dressed, leaned up and hugged one another and kissed one another. And I'm getting out of the car at the light, and I turned to my dad. My dad looked at me and said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other. The idea that an 8-year-old child or a 10-year-old child decides, you know, I decided I want to be transgender. That's what I think I'd like to be. It'll make my life a lot easier. There should be zero discrimination.
That being transgender makes people's lives easier?
Too many transgender women of color are being murdered. They're being murdered. I mean, I think it's up to now 17. Don't hold me to that number, but it's higher now.
Yeah.
And that's just this year. And so I promise you, there is no reason to suggest that there should be any right denied your daughter or daughters, whichever, if 1 or 2, one, your daughter, that your other daughter has a right to be and do. None, zero. And by the way, my son Bo passed away, was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. He was the guy who got the first transgender law passed in the state of Delaware, and because of a young man who became a woman who worked for him in the Attorney General's office.
We've got one more segment coming up. Thank you.
I'm proud of
that.
ABC News, straightforward. With so much at stake, so much on the line, Americans.
All right, let me pop back all of this. Sorry, just jotting some notes there. Okay, so let me get big. All right, we'll pop back over there as soon as they come back from break. Yeah, so I'll get to some comments in just a sec. I'll try to keep my mouth shut while he's talking, but it's hard to shut up sometimes when you hear some of this stuff. One, that question was just absurd. From the framing of that question was absolutely absurd. That the first one from the dude that about there being like peace around the world right now, like that's totally absurd. As if we're not funding a war in Yemen right now, a genocide, sorry, not a war, a genocide. We're not funding a genocide in Yemen. We're not funding, the apartheid state in Israel, Palestine, on the West Bank. And so that was, he said, there's Israeli-Palestinian peace, even though, Trump exacerbated the issue by moving the capital of, moving the embassy to the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, which, created tension between, further tension, because it's seen as a move. It's like this Zionist move, essentially. It's in biblical terms, they think that it moves people closer to, steps closer to, it's biblical prophecy for that to happen. And that moves us like steps closer to like the rapture, essentially. This is what these people believe. I'm sorry, but so that was just wild. Biden pushed Trump from the right on, he pushed him right on North Korea, on Russia, on China. He was like, oh, he's not strong enough on these. That's right wing. That's a right wing framing, and that's a Democrat. That's Biden falling into right wing framing because he honestly, that's what he believes at heart. He's conservative, neoliberal at best, neoconservative, at worst there. And yeah, so he's talking about, Trump didn't go hard enough on Putin and Kim Jong-un in North Korea. No, we shouldn't be. Why? Why do we want to create tension? We don't need to be trying to, stoke tension between. You make peace with your enemies, not your allies. So we should be pushing from the left. We should be, commending Trump when he at least tries to, make peace deals in North Korea, even though we know that that's just an anti-Obama move from Trump. He just did the opposite of what Obama did, because obviously what Biden was correct about is that he made the situation worse in Iran as well, where he withdrew from the nuclear, he withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal, which then Iran eventually withdrew from the deal after they stayed in it for a while because Russia stayed in. And there goes Russia trying to maintain peace in the world, and the US exacerbating the issue. So that was a mess. And so that whole line of questioning was just absurd. And another thing that rubbed me the wrong way was just that Biden mentioned that he would use executive order to right the wrongs of, Trump's executive orders on, like, banning transgender people from the military. And I think that I totally agree with that. He absolutely should. I just worry, is he really going to do it when he just said earlier in the night that he doesn't believe that we should use executive orders, that the president should use executive orders because it's undemocratic, apparently, which it is undemocratic in a way, but we have them and they already exist. And they've been used already to create undemocratic, to do undemocratic things. You should at least use that to unwind it, at the very least, to unwind those undemocratic actions that Trump took. So I hope that he would do that, but I'm not sure. And then I don't know if I didn't like his language about a young man who became a woman. I don't know. That language rubbed me the wrong way. I think you just say a young woman who transitioned. And so I don't know. That's just me, though. I can't speak to that. So that was a lot to try to get through. Kwame says, Jesus Christ, a young trans woman, don't dead name or misgender. He find a way to mess up everything. Okay, so I'm not wrong, and I wasn't the only one that thought that. Okay, all right, coming back here.
How will you use your platform to urge President Donald Trump and those rallying behind him towards the ideals of a more perfect union?
Well, to be very honest with you, I think that's very hard. He is not, things have not led themselves to him learning from what's happened, what's gone before. And instead of being chastened by being one of the few presidents, the only president to be impeached and then have a member of his own party vote to expel him. It emboldened him. So, but what I will do, hopefully I'll go back to being a professor at the University of Pennsylvania and making the case that I've been made and at the Biden Institute at the University of Delaware, focusing on these same issues relating to what constitutes decency and honor in this country. It's the thing that got me involved in public life to begin with. As a kid, I moved from Scranton, where there were no African Americans, and moved down to Claremont, Delaware. And in Delaware, we have the 8th largest black population as a percent of population. It was an epiphany for me, seeing what was going on. And I got deeply involved. I'm no great shakes. I don't mean I wasn't John Lewis. I don't mean to imply that. But it's the thing that's motivated. My dad used to have an expression, for real. He said, everyone's entitled to be treated with dignity. Everybody. And it was real. Everybody is. And so whether I'm a defeated candidate for president back teaching or I'm elected president, it is a major element of everything that I'm about because it reflects who we are as a nation. And it's what makes us, this is every single solitary generation. The dial has moved closer and closer and more to inclusion. And we are a country that is a country of slaves who came here 400 years ago, indigenous people, and everyone else is an immigrant.
Slaves didn't come here. They were stolen and brought here.
Equally, we're just
and just skip right past the genocide.
But I think the American people want to see that happen. I think they're ready to see it happen. And I tell you one thing, if I'm elected president, you will not hear me race baiting, you'll not hear me dividing, you'll hear me trying to unify. And unify bring people together. When I said I was running because I wanted to unify the country, people said, well, they were the old days. We better be able to do it again. We better be able to do it again.
Mr. Vice President, if you lose,
he was anti-busing.
What will that say to you about where America
so much for
is
bringing
today?
people together.
Well, it could say that I'm a lousy candidate and I didn't do a good job. But I think, I hope that it doesn't say that we are as racially, ethnically, and religiously at odds with one another as it appears the president wants us to be. Usually, the president's, in my view, with all due respect, has been divide and conquer. The way he does better if he splits us. There's division. And I think people need hope. I think, look, George, I've never been more optimistic about the prospects for this country than I am today. And I really mean that. I think the people are ready. They understand what's at stake. And it's not about Democrat or Republican. If I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I'm going to take care of those who voted against me as well as those who voted for me, for real. That's what presidents do. We got to heal this nation because we have the greatest opportunity of any country in the world to own the 21st century, and we can't do it divided.
One more break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Disney Plus.
Oh, sorry. So they're taking one more break and then they'll be coming back from that. Please, everyone that's here, I need you to do me a favor right now. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. Super simple ask. I think just please, if you're here, if you're watching, do us one small but really massive favor and just hit that like button. It helps please the YouTube algorithm and gets more people, able to see the stream. So just do us that solid. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. I promise you, you're going to like what's here, the content that we produce. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and share this out on social media, whatever you use. You can also sign up to become a member of our show for, support the show, independent Black left-wing media, by, signing up on our Patreon. There's links in the description box below, patreon.com/radical democracy. You can sign up for as low as $1 a month. So please support the show, support independent Black left media by doing so as low as $1 a month. I'd really appreciate it. We'd really appreciate it. We need your help. We need your support. Please do so. Links in the description box below. You can also send us a one-time tip, no account required, on Coffee at coffee.com/radical democracy. Please do so, support the show in that way. You can also leave us a super chat. YouTube takes a quite a little cut out of that, but you can also send us a super chat if you want to make sure that a comment gets read out here. We'll read all super chats, so please feel free to drop us a super chat as well right here on YouTube. So we appreciate whatever support you can offer. We really need the help to continue to sustain, so we can only do it with your support. Please, patreon.com/radical democracy. All right, so I felt like that question, I didn't catch all of it, unfortunately, but all that I heard was platitudes, and more platitudes. So wasn't much there. There wasn't much there. It was just platitudes. So I didn't get anything from that. No policy mention whatsoever. So not. Oh, okay. I don't know how long this break will be, so we'll take it right out because it's gonna end soon. So we'll do it right after. I think they're gonna come back from break soon and just do like a closing remark really quickly, and then that'll be the end of it because it's 9:29 right now Eastern time. So this is ending like right now. I think that the only thing I can imagine is that they're just gonna do a quick last like send off, and then it'll be over, and then they'll do their post town hall coverage. We'll do our own post town hall coverage where we'll get through all the comments, catch up on all the comments, and discuss whatever, our thoughts, our feelings about this past 90 minutes of our lives that we've given up to this town hall here. So I'm going to check right now. I want to make sure that I've seen I want to make sure who has not hit that like button. I see at least 17 of you right now. At least 17 people are watching this stream right now that haven't hit the like button. And I'm asking you very kindly here, please do me that favor, do us that favor, help this channel to grow by just simply hitting a like button. It's a one click, one tap, where if you're watching on mobile, you just got to close out the live chat and then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and then open that live chat right back up and chat with us. I want to hear your thoughts, how you feel about this debate so far. Let me know your thoughts in the chat, and we will get to all the comments right after the debate. All right, they're coming back, so let me pop in here.
We're wrapping up our town hall with former Vice President Joe Biden. Mr. Vice President, as you know, President Trump had a town hall meeting tonight as well. During that town hall meeting, he was asked several times whether he took a COVID test the day of your last debate. You're supposed to have another debate a week from tonight. Just two quick questions. Do you expect that debate to happen? Will you demand that President Trump take a test that day and that it be negative before you debate?
Yeah, by the way, before I came up here, I took another test. I've been taking every day, the deep test, the one they go most. And because I wanted to be able, if I had not passed that test, I didn't want to come here and not, expose anybody. And I just think it's just decency to be able to determine whether or not you're clear. And it's not, I'm less concerned about me, but then the people, the guys at the cameras, the people working in the Secret Service guys you drive up with, all those people. And so, yes, I believe he will do that. Look, I'm going to abide by what the commission rules call for. I was prepared to debate him remotely, which was supposed to happen. And he said he wouldn't do that, a virtual debate. Our town hall, he didn't want to do that. I didn't set those rules. The commission set the rules. So whatever rules they set, and I'm confident that the Cleveland Clinic is the one overseeing it. I think they're going to not let happen what happened last time. They're going to demand that it's safe.
But you expect to be there?
Oh, I expect to be there.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for your time tonight. Thanked all the questioners here. It was really terrific questions. I think you did a service to our democracy tonight. Thank you very much. I want to go back to my colleague David Muir in New York.
All right, George, thank you. So there you have it, the ABC News Town Hall with former Vice President Joe Biden. Just 19 days until the election in this country. Of course, voting already underway. More than 18 million Americans have voted. Tonight, as you heard from the Vice President there.
All right, so let's come on that. Okay, so the debate, the town hall, the debate that wasn't, this was supposed to be a presidential debate tonight, of course. We didn't get that. We unfortunately had dueling town halls going on. So we watched the Joe Biden town hall, haven't been able to see the Trump town hall, unfortunately. Or is it really unfortunate? What the hell am I saying? Is that really that unfortunate? So Trump had an hour-long town hall on NBC. Not sure why NBC would accept doing that at the same time as the Joe Biden town hall. It would have been, much better to have them just one after the other. Just do the Trump town hall the hour before or the hour after. I think that it was absurd and really undemocratic or anti-democratic of them to run both of these at the same time. So, I think that it doesn't allow the American people to make sure that they're able to see both and, digest. In a regular world, that would matter. But of course, I don't think most people expected much. I for one, am looking forward to watching the Trump town hall for the entertainment factor there. I'm sure some batshit insane stuff got said. So I will check it out and I'll watch and I'll do some coverage on it tomorrow, probably. Oh, maybe not. I mean, we'll see. We'll see about tomorrow, about doing a show tomorrow. Let's get to some of the comments if we have any comments that we want to get to. And please leave your thoughts in the chat there. I thought that it was a devoid of much substance, unfortunately. What I expected, though, I mean, I heard no policy that is a substantive, meaningful policy mentioned. He told us over and over again tonight that he plans to do absolutely nothing for the American people. He will keep everything the same. At the very best, what we're going to get is a rollback to Obama era policies. And I'll just remind everybody that Obama led us directly to Trump. So we can all, take a sigh of breath of relief, but it's just really unfortunate and frustrating that this is what the Democratic Party has offered up to us. It's a travesty. Did I miss a comment there that? Okay. Yeah. So Brian Dew says the courts are less democratic institutions than the legislature. Yes, absolutely. So the Brian says court packing is a way to try to prevent constitutional review, but you can just directly say with a law that courts don't do constitutional review anymore. I am in favor of that strategy. The piece was by Matt Bruning. So you said, okay, so the piece was by Matt Bruning called "What Exactly is the Liberal Position on the Supreme Court?" I'm going to check that out. Let me just jot it real quick, Matt. All right. So I'll check that out because that sounds like sounds like something that sounds like a good read. And so I definitely, that's a strategy that I would support because I'm in favor of anything that strips legislative power away from the courts. Like they shouldn't be deciding legislation that should be democratically decided. They're a handful, 9 unelected officials that are deciding major laws in this country, like the ACA, or like healthcare legislation. They're deciding. They're having final say on all of these important laws, and that's not how it's supposed to work. They're just supposed to be interpreting the laws. The laws should be written in a way that they're not left up to interpretation. Why are we leaving so much up to interpretation of the courts? That's absurd. Of these, of an undemocratic court. And then they threaten us with it, and they're like, you have to vote this way because oh no. And look what happened. Trump it looks like they're going to get away with confirming 3 Supreme Court justices under Trump. In 4 years, Trump put 3 Supreme Court justices up. Like Obama in 8 years put up, am I crazy? Is it 2? Is it 2 in 8 years versus 3 in 4 years? I mean, that's absurd. So, and those are young. Trump has put on fairly young justices. And so these folks are going to be on these courts for the next 40 years. If they hold on like Ruth Bader Ginsburg did, You're talking about another 40 plus years for these justices, 40 plus years of a conservative controlled Supreme Court. I think that you got to take away power from them. And then, yes, I am personally in favor of expanding the Supreme Court. It hasn't scaled with the population. We've had 9 Supreme Court justices since like the inception of the country. We need more. We need to expand it they're expected to handle all these cases. Those cases end up sitting and waiting to be seen because they have such a backlog of cases. So we could have many more cases being decided by expanding the Supreme Court. So it's not even it should be a bipartisan thing. The idea of expanding the Supreme Court should be totally bipartisan, because it should just be hey, we have a bottleneck here and we want to remove the bottleneck on legislation, in rights, in progress in the country. And so we should remove the bottleneck of the Supreme, in the Supreme Court, and expand it so that they have more people doing the same amount of work, which means that they can rule on more cases. And so it should be bipartisan. It shouldn't be a political thing at all. It shouldn't be a bipartisan issue. But of course, it's turned into a partisan issue over the fact that because says okay, sorry, I think I got okay. So it shouldn't be partisan though. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. So any other I'm in favor of whatever strips power from the courts. And I also want to see it packed with if we're going to pack it. I don't think that Biden's the right person to pack the courts, unfortunately. I think, like I said earlier, I think they'll just pack it with corporate, liberal corporatists. And so I don't think that would be a great strategy. I don't want to see Biden be the one to pack it. If it was Bernie Sanders, yeah, sure, I would like to see the court expanded, because I think that he would put on pro-labor justices. And that's what I want to see it expanded with. I want to see it expanded to like 27 justices and I want to see them put on 18 pro-labor justices. That's what it should be like. We should have representation for working class people in the Supreme Court. Why? That's absurd. That's the thing that they don't ask about during these hearings. They're never talking. They keep the focus on the social issues like Roe v. Wade and the ACA, and they try to focus on those things and focus on like Roe v. Wade. And, and trust me, that's an important issue. Like, that's important. It shouldn't be left up to interpretation anymore at this point. And we should pass other legislation that ensures that it's not being left up to the interpretation of this, decades old laws, but put new protections in place that are crystal clear on these issues of a person's right to have autonomy over their body. Every person should have a full autonomy over their body. Brian Dew says, if you want to get rid of constitutional review, all the president has to do is assert that Supreme Court rulings about constitutionality are merely advisory and non-binding. Okay, let me read that again. Hold on. And that's from the piece. Can I read that again? Brian Dew says, so this is a quote from that piece. If you want to get rid of constitutional review, all the president has to do is assert that Supreme Court rulings about constitutionality are merely advisory and non-binding. That's interesting. So I haven't heard that strategy yet, and I'd have to look more into that to see what is what are the potential loopholes there or any issues that I might not be considering, because I'm not a lawyer. I'd love to have a constitutional scholar or a law professor on at some point. I'm still getting comfortable with guests on the show, but we'll grow as we grow. We'll get there more and more. I'll shake off all the nerves and stuff and figure out like a system for it so that it's easier to start getting some guests on the show, because I want to have some experts, get some expert opinions on the show and do more of that. So we'll get there. Brian Dew says courts have a role in dispute resolution between people, but there is already a body that makes laws. Yeah, like that's how it should be. It's like, one-on-one disputes that aren't impacting the, mass of people like that. It can absolutely be handled and not, not changing law. Like, they have the ability to essentially set law in the country through the Supreme Court. And that's That's it's just undemocratic. These are unelected people, and we can't let that stay. That's not how a democracy. That's not a functional democracy. There, Brian says the piece was okay. Yeah. All right. So Raised Fist, aka Kwame, says Voldemort, I want to ask you what are your plans to stop war in Wizland? Like, yeah. Voldemort. First, I want to make it clear I'm gonna kill Harry Potter. Oh, yeah. That's Tammy clarifying. This is why we need Tammy needs a mic. Support, donate on coffee to help Tammy get a mic because she's much keener on these things than myself and Whittier, and so she understands. I'm just an old dumb person, and yeah. All right. Oops. Yes, as Racist Media, Kwame says, it's a reference to fracking, which is what the, Tammy made clear for me, is that it was a reference to Joe Biden's statement on the fracking, where he's like, first off, I just want to make clear, you know, I will not ban fracking. And so it's just like, whoa, it's like the literal thing that we want, that we need you to do and want you to do. You're like, nope, I will not do that. It's like, I will do the opposite of what you want me to do. I will go in.
The lady from the university cited, the lady who asked the question cited like studies from the like local university in like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania or something about the damages of fracking in the environment.
Damn, see, I didn't
in her whole spiel in her question. And the first thing he says,
damn, yo, I'm sorry that I missed that on that question because I was in and out on that. So Tammy made clear, I hope that y'all caught that, is that the lady like was listing out statistics from Pennsylvania in her question of like all the damage that fracking has wrought on their state. And then he just right out the gate, like I heard a question about the fracking, and then I knew that she elaborated, but I didn't realize that she was just laying out raw stats about the state there. And then he just straight came right out of the gate like, just so you know, I absolutely have nothing to offer you. And that's a swing state. Like, I'm making light of this, but Pennsylvania is a critical state, like a critical state. I swear, if Trump wasn't doing so horrendously right now, Biden would be losing this thing. Biden would be losing right now because of how bad, like, that's an absurd statement to make to a voter in a swing state, in a very important demographic there too, by the way, so that's such a antagonistic response right there, to be like, not banning fracking. That's literally like, look at what happened in Oklahoma since they started fracking. And they're like, I've seen this. I've read reports about the issue with fracking being potentially from the waste disposal, the fracking wastewater disposal, and not the fracking itself. Listen, the fracking process itself looks to me to be problematic. If you just go drilling down into the earth and jackhammering up the earth, I don't know how you don't think that that's a destructive process, and why we don't think that we should have real proper democratic say. If the majority of people in this country say we don't want that, it shouldn't exist. It just shouldn't exist. But look what happened in Oklahoma. I should pull up a map of the earthquakes in Oklahoma if I can. Tammy, if you could, if you find anything, but like, I'm gonna try to find a map of it or something that shows like the ever since fracking started or whatever, like there used to be like three, like one or two earthquakes a year on average, like small earthquakes on average in Oklahoma. There were like one or two earthquakes a year. And then after they started fracking in Oklahoma, it was like 600 a year, 600 earthquakes in Oklahoma, when they were used to having one or two. There was a time period during Obama's years, by the way, it overlapped with Obama's years, where it was like from like 2014, I believe, until like 2018, there were more earthquakes in Oklahoma than in California. And think about the size of Oklahoma versus California, and also the just, natural like climate and of California that, is made it more susceptible to, the fault lines, and, it's just been more susceptible to earthquakes and and think about the size of California versus Oklahoma, and you're, you know, like doubling the number of earthquakes there from Oklahoma, and that's through fracking. So, I mean, not to mention the just, you know, I mean, this is the waste is also very, you know, toxic waste that you're creating with the wastewater that's created from the you know, fracking process. So, yeah, I thought that was that was a wild answer, just a wild answer. My favorite question of the night by far was the question from the young black dude. Like, that was the best question of the night. That was amazing. I thought the next one, the follow-up, that older white woman that asked right after about, you know, the young black dude asked about you know, what are you going to do for young black voters? And his answer was just nothing. It was like, you know, all HBCUs, which is like, again, the vast majority of black people will not go to college. So you're not speaking to the masses when you talk about HBCUs, and that's one of the only two policies that you mentioned. He also came right out of the gate with the, like, John Lewis, my black friend, which was just like absurd. But that dude looked heated you know, it was just like, and he lost me at parts. Like, I'm trying to follow along closely and like taking notes and stuff, and like he lost me at parts. I'm just like, what the hell is he talking about? He just talks in like a circular word salad that you just cannot make heads or tails of, and it was hard to follow along with whatsoever. So the people were just, I think, bewildered for part of it. Like, what the hell is he saying? And none of it made sense. It was substance free anyways at the end of the day. But I thought his question was really good. And I thought that, okay, so boom, look at this is, thank you, Tammy. So here is an example. This is a map from 1980 to 2009. So what you're seeing there, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger here. And what you're seeing here is from 1980 to 2009. Feel free to zoom in on that screen, by the way, Tammy, pro tip. If you zoom in on your screen, Control Plus usually. We're all, you know, yes, perfect. So yeah, from 1980 to 2009, that's how many. So that's 29 years. All right. So you're looking at 29 years on the left. That's the earthquakes in Oklahoma. All right. For 29 years, that's on the left. On the right, that's 1 year. 1 year, okay, versus 29 years. That's all. That's the mapping, the location, and the darker that you see it is the higher magnitude earthquakes, right? So some of them are larger because they cover more area, and then the darker it is like the magnitude of the earthquake. So this is what you're seeing here. So that's the difference, you know. So this is what fracking. This is the difference between no fracking for 30 years, fracking. That's the difference right there. You tell me that this isn't harming the environment right here. Like, this is what this dude just said. Nope, not going to do a damn thing about it. We're not serious. There's no serious effort by even the Democratic Party to save this planet. And we're going, you know, sure, they're better than the Republicans. They're you know, moderately better than the Republicans, but they do not go far enough. Unfortunately, they do not go far enough. And it's evidenced by this that 2014 to 2015, for those, you know, that may not realize, that's under Obama. That's, you know, Obama's, that's six years into Obama at that point. So we're 6 years into Obama, and we start fracking, and, you know, in the middle of the Obama term, that's when fracking policy came in, and they started fracking, and they allowed it, and look what happened to the state. And so, and you tell me if the people could democratically decide, if they were given, because you need a well-informed citizenry to have a functioning democracy, and if people were informed about this and could see the science on this, and then were given a vote, do you think that the people, you know, in Pennsylvania or Oklahoma would vote to maintain fracking? And you're telling this, I mean, Joe Biden was saying this to this is a swing, you know, a voter in a swing state. I don't know if she was a swing voter, but she's a voter in a swing state. So she's an important voter, and you're speaking to the voters of Pennsylvania directly at that point. She's saying this is something that is, it directly impacts people in my state. And this is a major issue for us. And as Tammy pointed out, started laying out policy. Here's another map. Thank you, Tammy. So here's another map of, this is earthquakes in Oklahoma here. 2004, 2005, you see where it starts. This is, remember where Obama came into power, 2008, right? 2009, Obama's elected here. And then you can see, once that fracking, picks up in 2013, in 2014, and then 2015, you can see where they started picking up with the fracking. That is there is a direct correlation with the fracking here. So that's all that changed in the state, was they didn't frack before, and then they started fracking, and that's what the hell happened. And then once they started fracking, a few earthquakes started up, and then once they increased fracking, it went wild. So thank you so much to Tammy for pulling those up. That's awesome. You see, y'all, the show is just getting ever better, and we got our super producer Tammy to thank for that. So thank you for that. That was awesome and great cut. Please, if you haven't done so already, support the show one small way by just hitting that like button right down below. Also, follow us if you're on Twitch. We need the follows. We got to grow to over 50 followers. It's such a just a small group we're asking for. And so if you don't have a Twitch account, sign up for Twitch and then follow us on Twitch and start watching us on Twitch as well. We need to diversify our portfolio here. So. All right. Any other questions that we want to get to here? We'll cut this around 2 hours, so we're like 7 minutes out from like 2 hours. So we'll cut this around around 2 hours. 2 hours. So we're running until 10 o'clock essentially. And so yeah, so please leave your thoughts, share any thoughts you have in the chat. And would love to hear your thoughts on this. I thought, did you get it? Did you gain anything from this, folks? Did y'all feel like this was? Did anyone change their mind? Was anyone undecided before, and now you decided to vote for Biden? I've already cast my vote. It's Joe Biden can't do anything to earn my vote at this point. I've already cast my vote for Howie Hawkins and Angela Walker. Very proud to have cast my vote for, people that support Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, legalizing cannabis, $15 minimum wage tied to inflation and cost of living. Again, it's the absolute least that you can ask for and expect of a politician under the crises that we're facing right now. It's political malpractice to offer anything worse. But I mean, I honestly feel like sometimes this election is a competition to see which one can lose. Like, it's like they're both trying to lose. I feel like Trump and Biden, I just feel like they're both trying to lose sometimes, because you can't be like, you might as well just like spat in her face, COVID spat in her face. Like, she asked you a very, that's such a basic thing. Why do we need to frack? Why the hell do we need to frack? We can get energy from other sustainable sources that don't destroy our planet. What the hell do we need to do this, other than the reason that you have, donors who are involved in this industry who benefit financially from this? If it's not that, then what is it? Why in the world would you support something that she just laid out all the statistics for you, and you just look at her like, oh no, I guess listen to black women, but just not that one apparently. Yeah, so that was I thought that it's unfortunate that Biden has done nothing to win this. So and he's still going to win. And honestly, he might win big, which is painful because it's going to make them feel like they have a mandate for their terrible neoliberal policies. And they don't have a mandate. If you actually look at the polling from when Biden won the primaries, even where Biden was winning primaries, even in states, even in conservative states, South Carolina, Georgia, look at the polling that they did, the exit polling. And they polled on the issue of Medicare for all, and Medicare for all had majority support everywhere they polled it. So it was getting over 50% in the, even in red states. So they are, these are popular policies, and they don't have a mandate for neoliberal policies. If people were just voting for Biden on electability and chose Biden out of, issues of electability. And the sad thing was he was one of the least electable nominees of all time, but Trump was just so much worse that it's given him a pass. And I think with that free pass, they're going to feel like, you know what? We don't have Trump is a one-term president, it looks like, and Biden's going to be a one-term president as well. He's already said it, that he doesn't think that he's going to run again. He has no reason to do anything. He doesn't need to be reelected. He's got no dog in the fight, and he's already gotten the presidency. That's all that he wants, is to just be president. He doesn't want to do anything with it. He just wants to be president. And once he's got that, he doesn't have to do anything. He's just going to let his administration run things. And I don't know if you've seen the recent reporting on who he plans to staff his administration with, but it is gross. It's abhorrent. It's these, Wall Street, just types, and it's really, really gross. So Brian Dew says politicians are paid to hold positions, not to win. Yeah, like they are honestly in the Democratic Party, I feel like they're paid to lose purposefully. They're paid to lose. They pay the Republicans a little bit more, and they pay the Democrats to not fight back on these issues. That's what their donors want. Their donors want the status quo. The status quo is what got the wealthy wealthy. They don't want anything to change. The wealthy people don't want anything to change, and they're the people that have all the control. We live in an oligarchy, not a democracy. The wealthy people control our political system, and they don't want a damn thing to change. Why would they? It's working perfectly fine for them. That's why they're wealthy. So we can't expect to get change through these means. That's why, what we're doing here is honestly, we time will tell, but we are confident that building democratic workplaces is the step forward that we need to take. And you can help support that movement by supporting our show, patreon.com/radical democracy. Sign up for as low as $1 a month and support democratic workplaces. One worker, one vote on all major decisions. Who gets to work, where to work, when to work, how we work, and what to do with the profits of that work. One worker, one vote. We get real democracy where the majority of adults spend the majority of their waking hours in the workplace. That's where we need to start to build democracy. If we want to see us have a real democracy in our political system, we need democracy in our economic system first. So please support the cause, support the movement. Patreon.com/radical democracy. Link in the description box below. I really want to see at least one person sign up tonight. Brian says, wealthy people and corporations donate to politicians to get a non-democratic outcome. Support for unpopular policies. Absolutely. And there's evidence of this. There was a Princeton study that showed that it's a Princeton study on public opinion and how public opinion affects public policy. And they found that no matter how much the public loved or hated a public policy, that it did not alter in what they called any statistically significant way. It was non-statistically significant effect on the public policy, on the outcome of the public policy. What they found was there was a direct correlation to the wealthiest. And the wealthier you got, the more the stronger the correlation between your opinion and the outcomes of public policy. So that's oligarchy right there, and that's what we have, unfortunately, in this country, and we got to fight back in every way we can. And I truly believe that our democracy at this stage, it's too far gone. They're putting up these non-choices, and we're going to get Joe Biden or Donald Trump. And honestly, Joe Biden's a little bit better than Donald Trump. Easy to admit, that's not a tough call right there. Joe Biden's a little bit better than Donald Trump, but he's not good enough, and it doesn't go far enough. And if that's all we're relying on, we're going to get 4 years of Biden, followed by maybe 8 years of Kamala Harris. That's 12 years of just treading water with the status quo. Folks, we got to start to work on other measures. We got to start to, especially particularly on the left, we must start to focus our efforts and our energy on building democracy locally, local sustainability, and building local democracy, dual power, where these systems are failing us, institutions are failing us. People are losing faith in Congress, the media, the police. We need to replace those institutions with democratic institutions like this one that we're building here. We need to replace the corporate media with democratic media. Someday, I swear, you know, we kid now, but you know, TYT started in like Jenk's living room, and you know, maybe this might be the platform that we grow into a democratic behemoth that holds real democratic power and can help to you know, spread real democracy in the workplace by building a cooperative of worker cooperatives and making this just part of one of many worker cooperatives like a Mondragon in Spain. And I would love to see a real left unity and building real solidarity with working class people like that. So, oh, so awesome. So thank you so much. New tip from Brian. Thank you so much, Brian. I just, you don't even know. I can't, I told Tammy offline the other day, like it blows my mind. I appreciate y'all so much. It means so much. It really does. And I get awkward on camera here still, so I don't say it as sincerely as I want to. I'm not conveying my gratitude enough. We just deeply appreciate this. So thank you so much to Brian, who says, you know, it's for, you know, his comment on coffee was the Tammy mic fund. Dope. I appreciate that. That is so awesome. We really need to get Tammy a mic. I'm telling you, it will improve the show. She has just great insight that I really want to bring into the show. And so, you know, sometimes she relays it through me or she'll be in the comments, but we really need to get her to be able to jump on here and just chat. And then eventually, you know, who knows, we eventually get her on camera. But things will grow. And if as long as she's comfortable and if she feels comfortable, and she says she's at least comfortable with her voice for now, being on stream. So I don't want to pressure her or create any undue pressure on another working class person, but I do think that she has a voice that deserves to be heard. So want to make that happen. So thank you so much, Brian. That is awesome and amazing. We're going to make it happen soon because we've gotten tips from Coffee. And we gotten some other tips from Coffee. Steve Alvarez had left us a $100 tip. I miss Steve, by the way. Steve, if you're out there, if you're lurking in the shadows, or if you catch this later, just know that we really miss you. We love you. We miss you. I hope everything is going well with you. We look forward. Take your time coming back. I think Tammy told me that you just got stuff to deal with offline, and that is totally understandable. But just know that you are missed. Your presence is missed. We're still thinking of you. We've got you in our hearts, got you in our minds. So we don't forget about about all of our all of our Patreon and just our community members, our comrades. So yeah, Brian, it's amazing. Like he tipped us $100. So Steve's amazing, and we love Steve for that. So we're gonna Brian says would like to see Steve back on the show. That was a great episode. It was like, Steve, you are absolutely welcome back on the show, and I look forward to having Steve back on. Steve is a great voice. I chat with Steve offline sometimes. Steve's great, and so I really look forward to getting Steve back in here, and we will have him on another episode soon. He's just got great insight there as well, and so loved having him on. That was amazing, and definitely want to give platform and voice to working class, Black and brown folks especially, but just working class people in general, and as much as we can. So it's absolutely an honor to have Steve on.
We've had What Up on as a
We also had What Up America, who did the amazing intro music for the show. We had What Up on, and that was another awesome episode. I really just enjoy talking to members of the community. It just warms my heart. So really enjoy it, and I hope, Brian, maybe we'll have you on someday if you're comfortable with that. You got some real great economic knowledge, and we would love to tap into that and talk to you about some economic issues. So would definitely love to have you on someday as well, Brian. So we'll have to coordinate if you feel comfortable. We'll have to coordinate that sometime and have you on the show as well. So thank you so much to everyone in our community. It's been a blast. Y'all are the only reason that I can get through these events. So I love having the community here, because I don't think I could have made it through that 90 minutes without y'all. So just thank you for being here with us. If you haven't done so already, hit the like button, please. Subscribe to the channel. It's such a just a small favor we ask, but we need the growth. We need the channel to grow. We're so tiny. We need to grow. I'm watching other lefty channels grow faster than me, and I'm getting really bothered by it too. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? I'm out here 4 days a week, usually live streaming, busting out clips, having a video edit in my spare time. Folks, I need your support. I need your support. We need your support. So please.
Because we suck at social media.
Yeah, no, Tammy's right. We're not great at social media right now. We need. I don't know. I've never been able to grow a social media platform too big, so I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't. Maybe I'm not. I don't think I'm witty enough to be on social media. I'm an old person. I'm old, I guess. No, but I see folks that are older than me grow with major social media platform, following. So we need to definitely do something different. We need to start to encourage folks to share the stream out more. I know I don't encourage that enough. So, share these videos out, share the clips out whenever you can. That's the way that we're really going to grow. If you have a platform at all on any social media platform, if you know a person that might be interested in these sorts of things, like, please send them a link and have them check out the channel. That would be a massive help as well. So we really need to grow the platform. That's our best bet right now, because our community does so much already. Like you all do so much already. Like I can't possibly ask you for any more than you already do. So the only way we'll grow big enough is we got to just get more people here. When we're confident that the more folks that see this, the more folks that'll enjoy it, stick around, want to come back for more. So the community continues to grow every day. It's growing and growing and growing. But I'd like to see it grow faster. It's stagnated for the past week for some reason, and it's just been getting me a little. I won't say I was down, but just a little like, what's going on here? What's going on? All right, so. Yeah, it's been a fun stream. I'm gonna sign off soon because we're over the 2-hour mark, and I don't want to be too crazy about these streams. We don't need hours anymore, so I want to be nice and concise so that people that are watching that might watch it later can actually check it out. But seeing a 3-hour stream is like daunting and overwhelming, and people don't want to do it. So. Oh, and Tammy says I need to make a Facebook post as well. I really do. I haven't posted on Facebook to tell people that I'm doing this. So like my friends and I don't have, my family doesn't love me, unfortunately. So I don't think nobody in my family will be supporting me, but my friends for sure. I definitely have friends that would sign up on Patreon, and I'm totally slacking by not telling them that I'm working on this. So I definitely need to make that happen. And I have a lot of friends that are involved in local politics here in Massachusetts as well. And I would love to have some of them on as well. Shout out to Vicky and Jared Hicks and Zachary Hollipeter. And I don't know, lots of other amazing people that I'm forgetting. Jonathan Cohen is another one that I'd love to have on the show too. Tammy says, we don't do much with social media. That's why, LOL. I suck at sharing on Twitter, etc. Yeah, I didn't share on Twitter today. I forgot. I freaking forgot. I'm mad at myself. I'm stupid. And Kwame Racist Media says, we are your family. Yes. That's my brother from another mother right there. And yeah, so thank you all for being here. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We're going to sign off here and head out. But before we head out, of course, we will play ourselves out with this amazing track by Plasmon, a.k.a. What Up America, a.k.a. Ian Olsen. Just thank you so much for your work on this. Dude, it's amazing. It's freaking amazing, and I love it so much. I hope we've all heard this track by now. As far as upcoming shows, I don't know if I'll be able to do a show tomorrow. On Fridays and Saturdays, I edit clips for Tim Black. So I'm going to be editing clips in the morning, and I still have a lot of video editing of my own to do. So I got to catch up on the videos from the past week, because some people can't watch full live streams. They can only watch the shorter clips. So I'm trying to work on those shorter clips. I'm trying to do more with my video editing and trying to, splice them, just trying to create better videos. So working more on the video editing, it's taking a little longer at times, but so I got a backlog. I got to catch up on video editing. I'm running out of space on my laptop and stuff, and I just, for lots of technical reasons, I really need to catch up on video editing. So I don't know if I'll do a live stream tomorrow unless something happens. If there's breaking news, I'll jump on for breaking news. If anything breaks and it's interesting and intriguing, I'll jump on for that. I have a few things that I want to get to. There's this just a wild video that I saw on the Michael Brooks show recently that I want to share and talk about, and just a bunch of other stories that we haven't been able to get to on the past few shows that I want to catch up on. Some of the best propaganda I've ever seen I want to share, and just a few other things. So looking forward to that. So not sure about a show tomorrow, just so that everyone knows there's some chance that we won't be able to do a Friday show until I get adjusted and caught up. With my new, like I said, I'm working with Tim Black. I hope everybody knows who Tim Black is from Tim Black Show, Tim Black TV. I got hired as a content editor, so I'm working on taking his Thursday and Friday live streams and editing those. So he's doing a live stream right now, and I'll take that live stream once he's done with it and it's all uploaded. I take it and I edit it and chop up a bunch of 1-minute clips that they can use for Instagram, and because they know how to grow a social media presence. And so someday I will do the same for myself, but it helps me, it's great practice for myself and learning, and also the connection to a legend on the left like Tim Black is also an honor and a privilege to work with him, work for him. That's my boss. So yes, I'm really excited for that, but this is my second week doing that. First week those clips seem to come out really well. So really looking forward to it. Looking forward to watching his show from his stream from tonight. Sure, he talked about some of this stuff, and so I look forward to hearing his response to some of this and seeing how he covered it. So yeah, it's all great, and it's just good, good all around. So I love the opportunity. Thank you. Shout out to Tim Black. Thank you to Tim Black for all the work that he does. He does great work. Fan of the show I've been a fan of the show for about 3-4 years now, and just love what he's doing. And it literally inspired part of the inspiration for this show. If you watch my welcome video, you see that I give him a shout out in the intro video as one of the inspirations for the show. So definitely as an independent Black left media figure, huge inspiration. So love what he does, honored to work with him, and hope it, hopefully it leads to bigger and better things. So thank you to everyone. Peacing out. Check out this track from What Up America on the way out, and enjoy. It's amazing. I love it. We appreciate it. Thank you so much to everyone for being here with us tonight. Like, subscribe, share, and support us on Patreon. Thank you so much, everyone. We will see you soon. Peace.
People you talking about, they spent money on white women. They set up bars and they went playing pool and golf for $1,000 a hole, and they were known to make millions and millions when there wasn't no high taxes, and they were not hindered by white America. They were allowed to see the white America has completely closed all the doors on me. I'm not allowed to work in America, out of America. I was stopped right in my prime just when I started making money. So you can't compare me with nobody like Joe Lewis or nobody.
If you are black, if you are brown, if you are indigenous, and if you are poor, this system is rigged and it is worked to the core, and we gonna unbreak it. That's it. And that's all.
socialism that revolutionizes the workplace, brings democracy to the workplace for the first time.
So that's one way. And then the other thing is, in my more optimistic days, he's such a perfect endpoint of everything that is toxic and dysfunctional about the United States, about capitalism, about the 80s, that maybe this is the final sort of disgusting burst before we evolve or change to something better.
Talk about some things about why we need a new party. So I thought that'd be a good way to kind of do this. Why do we need a new party? We need a new party because both parties suck, John.
What are they talking about? Fortified. Are you fortified for the long run? Do you have your cemetery clothes on? Are you coffin ready to live and die for something bigger than you, like a fundamental transformation of a capitalist civilization?